Looks like the Red Sox could be interested in bringing in this Cuban pitcher. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and one of the more intriguing free agent options available on the board this offseason is an international player by the name of Yariel Rodriguez. Yariel most recently was the ace of the Cuban WBC team, but he's had a really interesting career up until this point as both a starter and a reliever in multiple different leagues. He's clearly interesting enough for the Red Sox to take notice and take interest in. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break down just how interested the Red Sox are right now in Yariel Rodriguez. We're going to talk about who he is, how he plays, what a contract for Rodriguez could look like, what it could take to bring him to Boston, and we're also going to ultimately try and decide if this is someone we as Red Sox fans want the Red Sox to try and bring to Boston at the start of April. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so the reason we're talking about Yariel Rodriguez today is because yesterday it came out that Rodriguez participated in a private workout for both the Red Sox and the Padres in the Dominican Republic. This is a pretty clear connection between the Red Sox Interest and Yariel Rodriguez, but what's interesting about this is about a month ago, Yariel held a sort of public workout for major league teams where 15 teams attended and the Boston Red Sox were not one of them. So the question is, why are the Red Sox interested now? Well, for starters, Yariel Rodriguez is a really intriguing arm. Like I mentioned in the intro, during this offseason in 2023, Yariel was essentially the ace of the Cuban WBC team, where in the WBC, Yariel pitched 7 1/3 innings in 2 starts, sporting a 2.45 ERA. In that time, he also struck out 10 batters and walked 6. On top of that, what's kind of cool, I don't know if it really means anything to anyone else, but I thought it was cool that he did strike out Xander Bogaerts during this time. Again, does it point to anything? No, but I just think it's a pretty cool fact for Red Sox fans. Yariel did not play in 2023 in professional baseball. Instead, he decided to use this time, the 2023 season, to get himself ready to sign a major league contract. He did workouts, he did other stuff like that to try and bring himself to major league level, but he does have some professional experience. Before taking a year off in 2023 to try and get a major league contract, Yariel pitched in the Japanese NPB League, where he spent 3 seasons in Japan. During those 3 seasons, he actually spent a majority of that time as a reliever, where he had a 3.03 ERA over 79 games with a 1.226 whip, a 10.3 K per 9, and a 5.3 walk per 9. So a bit of a higher walk rate in Japan, but he definitely still had that swing and miss stuff, and what he was utilized as was a setup man, and a fairly successful setup man in Japan over those 3 seasons. His most impressive season was actually the last season he spent in Japan. Is probably the reason why he decided to try his luck in getting a major league contract, because in 2022 he had a fantastic season, sporting just a 1.15 ERA in 56 games and 54 2/3 innings with a less than 1.915 whip, meaning he was giving up less than 1 walker hit per inning that he pitched. He had a 9.9 K per 9, which is a bit lower than his career average, but he had a much better walk rate at just 3. That looks a whole lot better than his overall career total at 5.3, right? And in general, you are looking for guys who are able to command a strike zone pretty well, because the ball is going to be different in Major League Baseball. So the fact that he's improved his walk rate is a really great sign. Another really great sign of his latest season in professional baseball is the fact that over the 2022 season, Yariel Rodriguez did not allow a single home run, which to me is a pretty impressive statistic. He was able to keep the ball in the yard every time he was on the mound. Now, in terms of who Yariel is as a pitcher, he's a bit of a flamethrower. He's got a fastball that tops out usually around 97, but can hit 98. He's got a pretty devastating swing and miss slider that he gets a lot of whiffs on, and he's got a split / changeup. It could go either way depending on where you look, that he utilizes as a third pitch to get those swing and misses, but he mostly relies on that fastball and slider, which makes him a really intriguing option, right? Because when you're looking at Yariel Rodriguez from a Red Sox point of view, you're looking at a guy who could, one, be a really great setup man for the Boston Red Sox. Going into 2024, the Red Sox have a fairly solid bullpen. They've got Martin and Kenley Jansen in the back end. You've got guys like Houck, Whitlock, Pivetta, Winkowski, Schreiber, who you could sort of mix and match and where they play during every single game. But going into 2025, you're losing both Kenley and Chris Martin to free agency, which you more than likely aren't going to bring those guys back considering their age and probable injury history as they get older. Bringing a guy like Yariel from a bullpen point of view, where he was a setup man in Japan during his time there and also a really dominant one in 2022, could give you that sort of high leverage arm that you're losing going into 2025. On the other hand, he could also have that upside of being a mid-rotation starter. Now, obviously the WBC is an extremely small sample size of only 2 games, but he did start games in Cuba with their national league. He did start games a little bit in Japan with their teams, right? He has some experience as a starter, and if stretched out with that 3-pitch mix, he could be an intriguing option for the Red Sox in the rotation, meaning that Yariel is a bit of a versatile option for the Red Sox as sort of a supplemental piece to a bigger piece later on down the road, which is why, in my opinion, the Red Sox have some interest in Yariel Rodriguez. But what would a contract for Rodriguez look like? How much would it take to get him here? And ultimately, is this someone we want the Red Sox targeting this offseason? If we're looking at Yariel Rodriguez strictly monetarily and how he would fit in the Red Sox payroll-wise, most sites are projecting that Yariel is going to make around $8 million per year. MLB Trade Rumors has Yariel Rodriguez making around 4 years, $32 million, which would be exactly $8 million per year. And if we're talking strictly contract-wise for the Red Sox, yeah, this fit makes a lot of sense, right? He's not a guy who's going to be that sort of high-risk, high-reward type player. This is a bit of a lower risk than what we're used to with a lot of these international free agents this offseason. Now, in terms of Yariel and strictly monetarily, that risk isn't there, right? If you sign him, this doesn't limit your ability to go out and get a bigger fish, the bigger fish that we all want the Red Sox to see. So in my opinion, if we're looking at this contract-wise, yeah, there is a fit here with the Boston Red Sox. But if we're looking overall at everything, right, the statistics, the potential, and the contract, it's a little bit of an interesting conversation because for me, when we're looking at Yariel Rodriguez and his fit in Boston overall, it could go 2 ways, right? There's room for him in the bullpen. If we're talking about sort of lower floor type, what he could look like in Major League Baseball, you're looking at a setup man who's fairly decent, who could take over for a Kenley or a Chris Martin when he leaves. But your upside here is actually really great, right? You're talking about a possible mid-rotation arm that comes out of nowhere and doesn't really cost a whole lot. Now, it feels like every time I make one of these videos on someone who could be a possible target for the Red Sox who's not named Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, or Yoshinobu Yamamoto, everyone says, well, wait a second, why would we sign this guy instead of one of those guys? And that's not really the point of getting someone like Yariel in for the Red Sox, right? Great pitching teams in Major League Baseball are able to do 2 things. They're able to bring in stars who they can then really bring to either another level or allow them to be who they are and be that star caliber pitcher, but they're also able to supplement those star pitchers with guys that sort of fly under the radar that you're able to get a lot more out of than other teams are able to do, right? Yariel falls into the second category. He's probably not a guy who's going to come in here and be a number 1 or number 2 in your rotation, but he's going to really help supplement those guys at his ceiling, right? He's going to be able to be your sort of number 3, maybe even as high as a number 2, according to some different scouts. This is a guy who could come in sort of under the radar that the Red Sox really need to start doing. They need to be able to get these guys who no one else is talking about and bring them to another level and bring them into Major League Baseball and be productive on a pitching staff, because that's what really great teams do. So yes, you do need these star caliber players. Yes, you do need a certified ace and a certified number 2, but you also need this flexibility, right? You need to have a guy who you can slot in the bullpen when need be, and you can slot into the rotation with his ceiling as it grows and matures in Major League Baseball. And to me, when we're looking at the fit of Yariel Rodriguez as, again, a secondary signing, not a guy who's going to be the headline of the Red Sox offseason, this could be a really smart move. If the Red Sox are confident that this is someone they could do that with, then yeah, I say go for it, because again, statistically, he was really great out of the bullpen in Japan. He has some experience as a starter. starter. The potential is there for him to be a mid-rotation guy, and he's not going to break your bank. He's not going to be a guy that you sign that sort of doesn't allow you to sign other big free agents. I think this could be a really intriguing matchup, and I love the fact that the Red Sox are interested in these under-the-radar type pitchers. So if I'm in charge of the Boston Red Sox and I'm making these decisions and the money's right and the years are right and you have some control over a 27-year-old pitcher with a lot of upside, I think I'm doing this every single day. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, is this someone you would go after? If you were in charge of the Boston Red Sox and your club is like, hey man, we're a little bit interested in this guy, is this someone you would be interested in signing? Is this someone you would avoid? Let me know all your thoughts on Yariel Rodriguez and the interest the Boston Red Sox have in him in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.